So, in today's episode, I am going over something that I absolutely love talking about, love educating on. I do this every single day in the salon with my own team, and it's something that we can all improve on, which is time management behind the chair. And today I'm talking about all kinds of things, especially the Forbes list strategies used by CEOs and corporations that I am telling you work as long as you trust the process and go for it, along with 5 principles that are going to change not only your career and your professional life, but also your personal life. So let's get to it. I'm really excited about this, and I know that you will too. Are you a beauty or barber pro looking for that push to do that thing you've always wanted to do, whether it's in or out of the salon, spa, or shop? Are you tired of not feeling good enough, smart enough, skilled enough? Are you tired of not getting a handle on your mental health, boundaries, and insecurities? I'm Christine Sherwood, the BeautyPro coach, an internationally certified coach, a salon and spa owner, and your personal Jiminy Cricket. I use my own experiences, good and bad, as a salon owner to help you be more self-aware, authentic, and forward-thinking in your approach to life, in and out of the salon. It's time to reach your version of success with the BeautyPro Coach podcast. Okay, so time management for beauty and barber pros. Let me just tell you something. Today, we're going to talk about quite a few things: mental health, how it affects us, salon and spa systems, delegation, and the 5 tips or principles used by Forbes, companies, CEOs, etc., etc. And I love talking about this. And if you have been a faithful subscriber, a faithful listener to the BeautyPro podcast, you, my dear friends, are getting a inside look or the scoop, because I'm going to be teaching this same class at Orlando Premier in Florida, 2024. I'm going to be teaching about this. I'm also going to be teaching at this brand new beauty show opening in Sevierville, Tennessee in the end of June, beginning of July. And it's the BeautyPro, the beauty trade show of the Great Smoky Mountains. This is the first year, so I'm also going to be talking about this there. And I'm so excited. But if you are a subscriber and you're not going to be at Premier Orlando, or you're not going to be in Sevierville, Tennessee, you still get to benefit from this education. So I'm going to try to keep today's episode to an hour. All right. I'm not going to try to go overboard. It might even be sooner. And surprise, surprise, you, my dear listener, are my tester. I am actually testing how long it's going to take me to teach this information to these hair shows. So I want to get right to it. It might be even a little shorter because I don't have my slideshows and the quick little intro of who I am, because you already know who I am because you listened to episode 1 and you've listened to all the episodes up until today. So thank you for that. Sharing is caring. Tell your friends and family, your beauty besties, all about the BeautyPro podcast. It's going to help them. But let's just get into it, right? So you want to do everything, but there's not enough hours in the day. I know, because that's me. And you feel only you can do everything because no one else can do it like you, because there's only one you, and you are so unique that people pay top dollar for you to do it, whatever it is, right? But then you're also overwhelmed because you go back and forth between these 2 extremes. So you want to do everything, but you can't. And then there's only one you, so because no one else can do it. And so you're kind of a bit of a control freak, and you're doing it all the time. this has been me throughout the years. It is only now in my career that I'm starting to have more strategy into everything. And so I want to go into this really quickly. You are exactly where you're meant to be. Okay? You're learning this information now and not 2 years ago because you weren't ready. You're learning this information now instead of 2 years from now because the time is today for you to learn it, get it down, and that's it. And so our mental health, we talk a lot about it here on the podcast. I'm a big, I'm a big supporter of it, right? That's like the whole reason why I became an internationally certified life coach for BeautyPros is because of the mental health aspect. And we are stressed, overwhelmed, confused. We are hungry, okay? Because we don't stop and eat our food because no, we got to keep going. We got to keep doing all the things. And it turns out we're only fueling our gale, which if you go back in the episodes of the BeautyPro podcast, you will know that I talk all about Gail and I break her down into the gremlin that we all have who whispers lies to us, our assumptions that we just assume it's that this person is XYZ. We interpret things based on our own life experiences and we have limiting beliefs because of some tragic event that happened in our lives. And all four of these things that make our Gail, which is, it's an acronym, these things shape our lives and who we are, how we conduct our business, how we have relationships, our romantic relationships. We are in an industry where it's all about people, and how we treat people determines how much money we get. Okay. It's directly related. And I want to go over this really quickly that I just mentioned it before here now, but at some point in our lives, we had some kind of action that happened. Either we did it or it happened to us. And subconsciously, we created a protection to help us deal with the hurt, the pain, whatever it is. And so we have this action that happens, this event. And then we create this emotion around that action. And that's our mental effect that goes into this process. And sometimes we end up having PTSD, right? From the action. The action happens, we have the emotion around it, and it could be so severe. We have some kind of emotional problem, okay, or hurdle. And then we have our thoughts. And these ideas happen as soon as this action happens. Okay, so it's action, emotion, thought. And then we keep repeating these thoughts over and over and over again in our minds, that then we create a belief system for ourselves, solidifying those thoughts, and then we convince ourselves, and then here we go. Now we have a whole cycle. And we do this every single time that there is some kind of event that happens in our lives. We have that action, the emotion we feel about it, the thought we create, and then the belief around it. And this thing that happens, I actually learned it from a manifestation coach. His name is Nick Bro. And I was going through a relationship total nightmare. And I had a free call with him and he was telling me about this. But this is also something that I have been trained in my own coaching certification and training. And this is something that psychologists talk about all the time. And this is a very popular thing. We all have this. And this is what leads us to believe whatever it is that we believe about time. And so we have our salons and we have our spas, right? And we create these systems that, just like we have our own mental system that I just described, we have this system, and systems in our salon, they either help with our mental health or they don't. And if you listen to my episode with Hunter Donia, he talks about this, how he creates a system for everything he teaches, are systems that he created for himself to manage his ADD or his ADHD, excuse me. And so we have to know that we have to create systems in our business so that we can function and we can train our staff and we can train our clients. All right. But it's very important that we know that systems are not the culture. Okay. Systems are protocols. Culture is the vibe. Make sense? And so what's the first thing that new owners always want to change about a business? It could be any business. It could be your favorite restaurant that you've been going to for years, and all of a sudden they sell the business. There's a new guy that comes in and takes over. What's the first thing, many, many times, that they always want to change? It's the culture. They want to change the culture. They revamp it. Under new ownership, meaning under new culture. And then depending on how the culture changes, a lot of times the systems change, which means the rules change, which means how they do things to get the culture changes. You're probably asking, is culture teachable? Can you teach it? I believe it's a yes and a no. Yes, because through transparency and being real and raw with your team and sharing the reason why we do the things we do, then yes, you can teach culture. But it's also a no, because you either have it or you don't. You know what I mean? You gotta, when you're being transparent and you're being real and raw, you're teaching your team without teaching them the core of your brand as an industry as a whole. Okay, like you're teaching them without teaching them. You are just living, you're being, right? That's your culture. But it's a no, because culture, it's an abstract idea. You either get it or you don't get it. And that's why a lot of times your employees will come and go, because they either match your culture, they match your mindset, or they don't. They don't agree. They don't like the way you look. They don't like the way that you hold the blow dryer and the brush. You know what I mean? Like, that's just the way it is. It's the same thing with relationships. You either attract your best friends or you don't. Okay? It's the same exact thing. It's just framed differently. And then we're going to talk about delegation. You hear it all the time. And I remember when I was going through this, I started to hate the word, because people were always like, you got to delegate. You got to delegate. And it's like, what the hell are you talking about? Delegate. What does that mean? Okay. But we have a system. You're probably asking, well, okay, delegate. All right. Can I have a system where I can just plug it in, plug in my culture, my salon and spa name, and, yes, that's delegation. Okay. It requires you, though, to do a little self-reflection and journaling. Okay. So delegation key points. If you have a pen and paper, great. If you don't, pause this recording and write these down. But there's absolutely no perfectionism when you're going to be delegating. Okay. That is the biggest block of delegation, and it's also called analysis paralysis. You're constantly thinking all the time before you get it done. So you're paralyzed because you're analyzing every little thing all the time with every single person. You're letting your fear rule your life when you do that. Okay, so that's the first key point with delegation. Absolutely no perfectionism. You can't let it happen. Nope, you're not going to be perfect. You're going to fail. The second key point, write out your plan. Whatever it is that you're trying to do, write it out. Communicate it then is the second step. So you write out your plan. Write out your vision. Write out the desire that you're having. Write it out. And then once you write it out and you get it settled in your heart and your mind, then you can communicate it to your team. You can decide what you do actually like when you communicate it or what you don't like. And you got to get people, when you talk to people, when you speak it out, it becomes real. And when you keep it in, it doesn't. And when you speak it out, it actually becomes real and it actually has a better chance of happening for you in your life. When I was preparing today's episode, and every episode actually, I write it out. I have a script. I really do. And a lot of other podcasters are like, what? That takes up so much time. I know it does, but it's a system that works for me and I just do it and it helps and I can say everything that I want to say and I don't let anything, I don't, forget anything that's so important. Okay. So write it out and then I communicate it. Okay. The next point is something that I found very interesting. It's a little phrase and it speaks wonders. So people do not do what you expect. They do what you inspect with respect. It's a very cool little saying that I found. And I don't remember who said it. Otherwise, I would totally give them credit. But it's so true. Your expectations are never going to be somebody else's expectations. It's your vision, your dream, your goal, your plan. You have to explain to somebody the best that you can why you love it, why it's so important to you. And hopefully they will pick up your passion and be like, okay. But a lot of times they don't. And so it's your job to go back and inspect what they have done. And if they love you, if they respect you, they're going to do what you are telling them with respect. But it's your job to go say it, let your people do it, then go back and check it out again. Okay? I hope that makes sense. You have to own the task that you're hiring for. As salon and spa owners, you listening, and even suite owners, you independents, you have to own your shit, okay? Own that you're going to fail. Own that you're going to be amazing. Own that you do hair. Own that you make mistakes. Like, you got to own it all. Be real. Be authentic. And people will respect you for that. If you're saying that you're hiring for a hairstylist, then you need to know what kind of hairstylist you're hiring. Are you hiring a boho chic kind of stylist, or are you owning a specialist of some kind? Okay. Also, this is the final delegation key point, is always, and I mean always, have a deadline. Always ask your team, your people, your relationships, your families, your friends, whatever it is, so by when are we going to do this? By when am I going to have the results? By when do you want to get this done? Okay. Have a date. Why? Because it keeps you accountable, because you will forget. It keeps them accountable because, oh, shoot, we got to get this done. It holds everybody accountable. And then when that time comes, you can self-check. You can evaluate what's good and what's bad. Okay. Now, we're going to go over 5 principles that are used by the Forbes list companies. And these are things that so many different companies around the world, whether they're hair or CEOs or whatever, they use this. This is like a whole science. Okay. And it's incredible. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? And I remember learning about these in university, and it's one of those things that you learn it, you take the test, and you're done. But then when you have a business, you got to go back to basics. Okay. I encourage you, if you're a salon or spa owner, read up on all of this stuff on Google. Let Google be your teacher. And if that is something that you just feel, then go take a business class. There's lots of YouTube free basic business classes, just watch them, take notes, start implementing them in your own little budgets. Okay. I say little budgets because I'm thinking of the employees, they have certain goals that they want to achieve. So start writing these down, start implementing them, because by the time it is for you to be in a leadership position in your salon or spa, you already have it down. You already do it. So the first principle, it's called the 70% rule. And this is really great for anybody who wants to be a leader in their salon, for an actual owner, if you're trying to learn how to delegate. Okay. If you do a particular task, right? And this is for the people who think no one else can do it like me because there's only one me. And how am I ever going to pass on my clients to somebody? This is for you. If there is somebody in your salon or spa and they can do your client's hair at least 70% as well as you can, delegate it. This applies to everything. If anybody around you can do what you do at least 70% as well as you, let them do it. This requires you to have trust in the person to get it done. Okay? You gotta let it go, right? Let it go, right? It's frozen. So that's the first principle. The second principle has two names. The proper name, I don't know how to say this word correctly, but it's Pareto or Pareto's principle. It's also known as the 80-20 rule. This principle is from, ancient Greece by Pareto. It's can be applied for anything and everything. Okay. And what it says is 80% of the results that you desire or that come, they come from 20% of the effort. Example. This example makes sense in my head. Hopefully it makes sense in yours. If not, send me a message on Instagram. Correct me, please. But let's say you have 10 stylists. Okay. So that's 100%. You have 100% of income from 10 people. 80% of your income or your profit comes from 20% of your team. So if we're going to put numbers on it, you have 10 stylists, 8%. You have 8. Okay, I'm confusing myself already. But in any case, 80% of your overall income is going to come from 20% of your stylists. So you got 10 stylists and the top 2 stylists are going to bring in 80% of your profit. That's what I was trying to say. Make sense? Okay, cool. So if you have a team or you don't have a team, you are doing all the work, right? And what happens is you are creating a codependent relationship between you, your team, and your business. You're robbing your team and also yourself of making your own mistakes and failures and successes. You got to fail forward. I'm always going to say that because failing is the best. Failing makes you grow. Codependence is a defense mechanism against your fears. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of rejection. It is a defense mechanism that we use from what we were talking about before of some event happened in your life. Then you get the emotions, then you get your thoughts about it, then you create belief system. We're not doing that anymore, okay? Another way you can break down the Pareto principle is what I was talking about also, is you can plan it, communicate it to your people, let your people do it, then you go back and you check it out. Okay? That comes from Nick Leaton, who's also a business coach. Okay. Then you have your third principle, which is the 4 Ds to time management. Okay? The first D is if it takes you 2+ minutes to do a task, work on it alone for 30 minutes or more until it's done. So you gotta do it. That's the first D. Do. Get it done. Stop putting it off. Go do the thing. The second D is delete. We're in a computer era. Everything is delete. A great example of this is consuming social media and emails, okay? If you're not going to read it, delete it, okay? Ask yourself, will spending time on this give me results or the results that I want? If you got a goal and hanging out on Facebook is not helping you get closer to your goal, delete the app off your phone, okay? If it's really that big of a problem. Defer is the third D. You either do it, which is the first D, or you delete it. There are some times where you gotta set it aside for later. But when you set it aside for later, don't procrastinate on it, okay? This is not my favorite D. I don't like this one because I can have a whole table full of papers that I'm going to get to later and it never happens. And so you know what happens after months and months of like stacked papers on my table, which I'm looking at my table and that's what I'm seeing. If I've been living my life without looking at them, guess what? I don't need them. So I delete them. I shred it. Okay. The last D, which we've already talked about in extreme detail, is delegate. You got to communicate, highlight the important parts, and let it happen. It's a 70% rule. Okay? All right. The fourth principle, it's actually a little hard to describe over a podcast, so I'm going to try my best. And it is kind of ideal for you to see it in person, but that's okay. It's actually called the Eisenhower Power Matrix, and you've probably seen this. It is a square, and it has 4 squares inside of it, and it's quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4, and it's basically the 4 Ds in the box. And it's a visual exercise, and this was created and used by U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower, but it was popularized by Stephen Covey in his book, which I have read, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Go get the book. It's all about it in there. You can look it up on Google too. The Eisenhower Power Matrix. And it helps you visualize and write in there what's important to you and what's urgent. What's important to you, but it's not urgent. Or what's not important, but urgent. And then what's not important, not urgent, you can delete it. Okay? I highly recommend that you use this because it's going to help you understand what you need to know when you're getting things done. Okay? Just some examples, like things that you need to do because they're important and they're urgent. It's like an emergency, deadlines, a double process, a bride's hair. Okay, those are important. That's urgent. Okay. What's important and not urgent are, team building activities, coaching, even a haircut. They're important, but they're not urgent. And I'm actually going to change a haircut in there to like a color, a balayage even. Okay. Like how dare I say that? But I'm saying that because it kind of goes back to COVID times where, there was that controversy of our hair people, beauty and barber pros. Are they essential workers or non-essential? You're not going to like what I'm going to say, but I do not believe that beauty and barber pros are essential workers to society. You people will not live or die. Like people are not going to die if they don't get their hair done. Okay. But with that being said, I do believe that a haircut, clients will say, I need a haircut because it's too long. It's getting in their face. They're getting migraines. Okay. That is a thing. So they need a haircut. But luxury items, luxury services are balayages. Okay. Waxings, those are luxuries. Okay. But you're not going to die if you don't get them. Okay. I know you're going to hate me. It's okay. I'm fully prepared. You can message me on Instagram. It's totally cool. Okay. So not important, but urgent things are emails, texts, quick trainings, minor requests, any interruption that happens to you when you're doing hair. Like, oh, so-and-so, we don't have toilet paper. Okay. That's an interruption. It's not important, but it's kind of urgent because we don't have toilet paper. Okay. And then things that are not important, not urgent, time wasting activities. You know what it is for you in your life. So don't do them. Okay. Okay. And then the fifth and last principle, it's called the Moscow method. Look this up. This is very interesting information. And this one is based on priorities, and it's work based on the outcomes. So must have. So it's must have, which is the M, should have, could have, won't have. And so a must have item is something that you have to do, like you must, for the project that you're doing, for it to be anything at all. I think about event planning with this one because, like, you need to have the venue, you need to have the bride, the groom, the people of the wedding. Like, you need that for it to have the event, to have the wedding. A should have is you still do it, but it's not the core of the project. Again, you're going to hate me, but hair, makeup, okay, food, those are should haves. They are really good to have, and the bride's going to look bomb, and the groom is going to look hot, and, food, everybody's there to have hang out, and yeah, you need to feed them, but it doesn't make or break it. Like, people go to the courthouse all the time. Okay. A could have is, it's something that you can do as a plus for the project. So for the wedding, but it doesn't really matter. Okay. So you can have white doves or a tiger bringing down the rings, or, your dogs as your best men, and as your bridal party. Like, you could have those, but it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. And then the won't have, that will absolutely not happen, and it's totally okay, is for the wedding, like, I don't know, you don't have to have a white carriage. It's not going to happen. Okay. You're not, or getting married at like Buckingham Palace. Like, that's not going to happen, and it's okay. That's the Moscow method. So you're listening to this, and it's been 30 minutes into the podcast, and I hope you were listening to what all these things had in common. It's communication, know your audience, make room to fail, and acknowledge and praise yourself and your team. Okay? There are so many more things that I could talk about when it comes to time management. But for today, I think this is like a good stopping point. And if you want to know more information, I highly encourage you to send me a message on Instagram. Let me know what you think about this episode in your review. But if you're wondering, okay, Christine, those are great, but like, this is time management. Like, I need practical tips. Okay, here you go. Ready? Write everything down. Do a to-do list and cross it off. You need to program your mind to get hooked on that feeling of endorphin of getting things accomplished. Write it all down. As soon as you do it, cross it off. Ooh, you get a little high. Do that. Hire a coach like me. Hire me. Not like me, but me. Hire me. Let's do a one-to-one coaching program for 3 months. Let's do it. 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, whatever it is that you need. Let's get it done. Commit to the process. Whatever it is that you decide, whether you hire a coach or you don't and you want to do it on your own, fine. Commit to it. Trust the process. Go through the hard parts. If you want to change your salon, implement all of these things that we're talking about. Be clear with yourself, your team. Be transparent, not because you're going to air your dirty laundry and to your team and you're going to give your bank account numbers to your team members. No, but be real. Be like, no, guys, we don't have retail because guess what? We don't have money. We don't have money because there's no clients. We don't have clients because, I don't know, the world is going to shit. Like, be real. Okay? Frame it. Frame your vision, your mission, your values, your plan. Write it out, frame it, put it in the back room, and everybody's on the same page. And then live it. Live out what you are teaching, okay? That's your culture. Live, be who and what you say you are. So that's today's episode. I could go on talking about the other things that I have, but I will save that for my in-person class in Orlando and Sevierville. I also have a brand new course, launching in June 17th. And it's also, I will say this, it's going to be called the BeautyPro Intensive. And I basically am going to be going over all of this time management stuff. You're going to get all the graphs. You're going to get all of those principles I was just talking about. And we're talking about boundaries and mindset. We're talking about marketing, money relationship, budgeting, commissions versus rental versus hourly rates versus, salon and spa barbershop systems that you need to have, right? I'm going over all of those. And the BeautyPro Intensive does start June 17th. It's a 6-week course. And we're going to be going through this stuff like boom, boom, boom. You're going to have homework that you're going to do. You're going to have weekly calls with me over Zoom and other beauty and barber pros who sign up. And we're going to have education first and then Q's and A's afterwards. So basically like a live coaching experience. You're going to have peers that you can call, that you can connect with and talk to and ask. And you're going to be transforming your life and your career this summer. And then it's easy access because once you sign up for the program, you're going to get the Zoom replays. You're going to get the downloads, which is the homework, which is the printable versions, and you can do it. You're going to be networking. You're going to be connecting with me and with other beauty and barber pros around the country. And it's going to be so good. And I'm so excited because I know it's time. It's time for me to share my personal experiences with this stuff. And it's also time for you to learn it. Like 2024, this is it. Like this is happening. No more wasting time, right? Time management. What we teach is what we are learning is what we're meant to teach. And I'm a big, big supporter of that. So anyway, be on the lookout for that. You heard it here first. And get on the email list because I'm going to be sending emails about that. And I can't wait for you to join the BeautyPro Intensive 6-week live online course. And I can't wait to hear your reviews and your ratings about this podcast episode. So let's get to it. Enjoy, do your homework, write down your plans, and I will talk to you next week. If you loved this episode, subscribe to the BeautyPro podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts so you never miss an episode. Don't forget to leave your reviews, stars, feedback so I can continue bringing the content you deserve and want most. Your feedback fuels this podcast. The more you give, the more you get back. You can follow me at The BeautyPro Coach on Instagram and Facebook. Want to contact me directly? Email me at befree@goldentruthcoaching.com.